Did you know that swearing is necessary to become rich? Think about it. Swearing is strictly forbidden for children, and not without reason, because it reveals sexual energy. And for children, it's too early. Most swear words are similar in names to sexual organs. And the main swear word in English, fuck, literally means to have sex. So we get, by blocking swearing, you block sexual energy. And the energy of sex is also the energy of money.
Where do you get these reels?
Well, these are Danila's popular reels. What do you actually think about this in general? Is swearing really as scary as we imagine it, as it is presented to us, and as we perceive it?
Regarding swearing, or regarding swearing and in general, regarding sexual energy and the energy of money, you know, as one of my friends likes to say, it's like mixing horses, pineapples, bears, and elephants all into one heap. Again, if we take the classic chakra system, I think we could make a whole episode about it separately. But even there, the energy of money and sexual energy are separated into two streams. Yes, they are close, yes, but at the same time, this is the second chakra, this is the third chakra. I'll say more. Many people, on the contrary, have no sexual energy at all, meaning it's almost at zero for them. But they sublimate through money. That is, as they say, the lack of certain sexual qualities, they, on the contrary, sublimate through money. So for them, this money just flows to them like a river, precisely because they do not possess this very sexuality. Well, of course you can, as they say, stretch an owl over a globe. Poor owl and poor globe, right? But still, these are different energies. These are different energies. The energy of money and sexual energy are slightly different energies. They have a completely different spectrum. They have a different color. This is the first thing that needs to be clarified right away, as they say. Therefore, once again, in terms of swearing, which supposedly enhances sexual energy and thereby enhances monetary energy, that's definitely a no.
So it's not related. It's just that many people say that sexual energy, as the energy of desire, the energy of passion, gives you, as I understand it, some kind of inner strength that leads you to earn money. That is, as if to, and they talk about this a lot.
Well, nowadays in general, a lot of people talk about a lot of things.
Yes, by the way, maybe someone took the idea and started promoting it. And it turned out that it became popular. There was no real meaning in this idea, right?
Well, yes. I've just worked with the energy of money for many years. So like, yes, I'm speaking here purely as a practitioner. I mean, I don't like theory. If I haven't done something myself on a practical level and haven't achieved certain results, preferably good results, yes, of course, I usually say right away, guys, this topic is just not mine. This story in terms of the sexuality of money, well, it can be stretched somehow, right? That there's this certain, energetic charge that pushes you forward and you move forward on this path. All inspired, all sexual, and because of this, you have more money. Well, maybe somewhere, somehow, but it's definitely not the main story at all. I just, again, I was involved with the topic of money for about 3 years, probably, and I still continue to engage with it a little, but really intensely for 3 years. Well, it's not connected, really. There are a lot of other topics there. We can, if you're interested, by the way, give this video a like, and we'll make a separate episode about what's related to the energy of money and how to work through the energy of money. And what is swearing anyway? Swearing is essentially energy. That is, a person swears when they have internal tension, aggression. So it's essentially like an outburst of this anger. It's like, like, roughly speaking, a toilet flush. You go up, press the button, and it flushes. It's the same thing here. So if a person has a lot of aggression, it's just boiling over. And some guys, they just speak in swear words. And I analyze these guys. They all have very strong internal aggression, often suppressed. So they can't express it, nor can they not express it because it's strong. And they kind of release it through what in psychology is called a side alley. They release it through this side alley by swearing. In this regard, as a way to release some tension, it might be considered. So if you have two options, like hypothetically to take a stick and go hit someone with it, right? God forbid, of course. Or to express this aggression through swearing. In such a scenario, it's probably better to express it through swearing. That's the truth. Still, one must realize that swearing carries an egregorial connection. I mean, who usually speaks, well, who usually uses swear words? Usually either prisoners, right? Or people who are, let's say, somewhat marginal, right? That's exactly their language. If you hypothetically talk to a helper at a dump or somewhere else, most of them use swear words, like literally on every other word, right? Or for example, if you talk to some prisoners or just watch some report from prisons in general, how they talk to each other. I mean, there's a lot of it there too, really a lot. And we know that people are empathetic beings. That is, we still feel the whole charge of the entire community, the entire community of all this. By the way, psychologists are already confirming this. They say that the idea of entering into some sort of rapport is very important to them. That is, they really, on some intuitive level, begin to catch such a feeling. Yes, a feeling from a person. I'm reading a lot of psychology books now, and there are people who say that the most accurate definition of schizophrenia is this special schizophrenic feeling from a person. Up to 70% of psychotherapists focus not so much on clinical manifestations, but on this intuitive feeling of a special schizophrenic trait. That is, yes, they can't describe it directly, but the people who have been in this field for many years can really feel it. It's the same here, right? All people are very empathetic beings. And when we enter into some kind of community, whether it's a car or an apartment in a certain city, in a certain district, or a mat, yes, we begin to feel, well, in general, as they say, all the people, this common charge that enters this egregor. And then we begin to feel as if the egregor of the mat, we might not even realize it, it can be on a semi-subconscious level, but we still touch the homeless. We touch people there in prison, yes, we touch people with entities, with all sorts of connections. Compare it to when you use foul language, you are essentially, with this homeless person, again, I have nothing against it, but it's just stating a fact. You and this homeless person, as they say, are drinking from the same cup. Next time when you, yes, use different words starting with different letters, essentially, remember that at the same time, whether you want it or not, you are still on the level of the field, on the level of the etheric body, on the level of the astral body, on the level of the mental body. You are touching a homeless person, you are touching a drug addict who is lying somewhere under heroin, under some fence, in the literal sense of the word, moreover. You still absorb a little bit of that energy. The first time you might not feel it. By the second, third, fifth, or 10th time, you will start to feel it. And when you enter a community of people, and swearing is like key words, meaning it's a key word that leads you into a certain egregor. Again, in any case, whether you want it or not. And here you need to honestly and soberly ask yourself, do I want to channel my anger through this path? Or maybe it's worth working on the anger, understanding why the anger arises in the first place. Why do all these situations occur, right? Maybe it's worth visiting a psychotherapist. Maybe it's worth visiting a psychologist. Maybe it's worth attending my school for connecting with the higher self, to touch the higher self. Because when you touch the higher self, you don't have the desire to swear, because you don't have aggression. You really have no aggression.
There are people who, well, I think every person who swears does it not only as a release of negative energy, but also as a form of admiration for something, for example. And in general, some people swear very beautifully. There are people who, honestly, it's really unpleasant to hear them swear. And there are people who do it beautifully and it sounds harmonious. Haven't you noticed? Especially if it's admiration for something, as I say. Well, everyone understands, right? What kind of words could those be?
Yes, admiration for something, yes. So there, you are admiring certain things, and you are directly expressing your admiration. But again, pay attention. Swearing is always very concentrated energy. It can be some kind of beautiful, yes, beautiful forms of this energy, but it is always in terms of density, dense, concentrated energy. It is always like that in any case, because there is a certain aggression underlying it. And even when you express swearing in the form of some description of something, that is, you praise something with swearing, it is still a description of beauty. But there is still aggression underneath it. You can just take it and analyze it. I know there will be comments saying like, no, I'm a wonderful person. I swear, and I have no aggression. But if you analyze it soberly, really honestly, and soberly, you will see that under any swear word, even if you are expressing satisfaction with something, or if you are giving some kind of praise to someone, yes, under any swear word at all, there is always aggression. It may just be veiled on top with the energy of admiration, or the energy of gratitude, or the energy of something else, but that's on the surface. But again, if there's a choice, hypothetically, between hitting people on the street or swearing, then of course it's better to swear. Again, why do people in prison swear? Well, because they have suppressed aggression, or they can't release it anywhere. Therefore, people who are calm, who are relaxed, yes, they don't swear, and that's very important. They don't suppress swearing within themselves, because you can start suppressing swearing within yourself. That is, you are kind of suppressing that aggression.
By the way, which is better, to suppress or to swear if there's already some aggression?
Swear. Because if, yes, because if you suppress energy within yourself, that energy starts to destroy you. It begins to destroy you even more than all these various egregorial attachments and so on and so forth. So if you suppress aggression, what will it eventually lead to? It could lead to anything, really. Gallbladder issues, stones or polyps, or something else that's pure suppressed aggression.
And you said it's better to swear? If this aggression already exists, it needs to be let out. But what about children if they start swearing? A child comes home from kindergarten and just starts, is this also aggression? Or is he simply seeing the example of others and repeating it?
There are two options. If he's swearing, he is really charged and you can hear it. That is, if he's just, opened Ozegov's dictionary. So, words starting with the letter B, words starting with the letter P, and you read. How interesting. If it's just the pronunciation of words and there's nothing behind them, then it's just some kind of humor. It's more like an exploration, of some forbidden topics, that this is a forbidden topic, and you need to explore it like this forbidden topic. Well, in general, something along those lines.
And if it's really aggression in a child, should they be allowed to swear?
But if it's aggression in a child, it's better to take the child to a child psychologist, so that the child psychologist can find out why this child is experiencing aggression in the first place.
Have you heard that swear words have a sacred nature? As early as the 11th and 12th centuries, swear words were written on birch bark manuscripts. This means that these swear words are originally Russian and are not borrowed from other languages. It's as if something was imbued into these words.
By the way, let's look at how this topic will appear in the higher I.
Let's do it. Uh-huh.
Well, look, firstly, swearing is definitely, as I already mentioned, a very fiery, earthy, concentrated energy, right? Regarding then the sacralization of all this. Again, people, they, for example, in Buddhism, in Hinduism, yes, they revere all sorts of phallic symbols, so-called. On the island of Bali, in Ubud, if you are in the center of the island, if you enter various wooden shops, you will definitely see large phalluses there, standing on these, on such legs.
Well, yes, they imply something by this. That is, for them, it's Shiva, the drive forward, or all of that.
Yes, exactly, that's it. And here, it turns out to be kind of, if this is some kind of reverence, yes, precisely for this basic fiery root energy, then yes, but this is not high energy. That is, once again, if we are talking about high energy or not high, this is not high energy in the sense that it's not the upper center, it's directly the lower, intensified, such hypertrophically, intensified. Therefore, as a reverence for this energy, yes, maybe, but it is definitely not high energy, absolutely.
While you're still in this state, I want to ask another question. How does swearing affect a person's field? Is it really possible to harm a person with swearing?
By the way, interesting. Again, look, I'm doing some visualization right now. Yes, that a person is swearing, intensely swearing at another. Again, this is dense, physical, fiery energy. It's like a fireball. Yes, you throw this fireball at another person. Yes. If the person is especially sensitive or their field is weak, well, and generally an impressionable person, then yes.
If it's also a child.
Or a child. And if it's, for example, perhaps a person who indeed trusted you, or for instance, as they say, sometimes a girl tells her, oh, boyfriend, your words literally indeed hurt me. And it's true. If they really have a connection between them and they throw these verbal fireballs at each other, it can seriously wound the other person's field, quite literally. That is, a word can hurt. If it is a charged word spoken with special energy, and if it's a charged curse word spoken with special energy, it can also wound. But again, it depends on who this fireball is thrown at, what it's charged with, and how it's charged. But in general, as they say, the overall temperature in the hospital, yes, it can work. Swearing can indeed wound another person.
It looks like a kind of clamp, right? An energetic one?
It looks like you've thrown a stone into a lake. I mean, you throw it directly and waves spread out in all directions. In the place where you threw it, a so-called breach might even occur. There are people who know how to charge their words with energy and throw these words. And if the other person doesn't have protection against this, and the best protection, as we've mentioned many times, is high vibrations, high energies. This very clear light manifested in you is the best protection against any kind of curse from the outside that might affect you.
Come back.
Yes.
We are here.
I'm all set. I'm back.
Yes. The question is, what to do if your close environment constantly starts scandals and, shouting?
Again, I always stick to the same position. The external world is a reflection of the internal world. You were not drawn to these household members for no reason. You were not drawn to this family at this time for no reason. There is some reason for that. Perhaps some karmic reasons, some ancestral reasons. But globally, right? Whether it's karma or ancestry, these are still fundamental laws, you know. At the most primitive level, it's always at the level of our specific psychological perceptions. If you have little money, yes, that means you need to tweak something in yourself. If you adjust something within yourself and the money doesn't increase, it means you haven't adjusted enough. This always works, absolutely always. I've tested this billions of times, including with the higher self, and so on, right? Moreover, if, for example, you have issues with relationships, it means something is sitting inside. It means for some reason you are attracting such people, such events. If family members are arguing, then again, there is some reason why you ended up in this family, why you came to this place at this time. You need to find the reason and eliminate it. If you eliminate the reason, then the family members should stop arguing. It works like magic in the literal sense of the word. If they don't stop arguing, it means you haven't removed something within yourself.
Take as much benefit from this as possible for yourself. That is, there is a situation, and you should take more benefit from it, see the lessons, see your own areas for improvement, but at the same time, not blame yourself, right?
But this is really work. It's really good work. Here, there are two paths. In fact, for any of these things, tuning reality, as strange as it may seem, but tuning reality is done in two ways. Either independently, and so far I don't know anything better than the higher self for independent tuning. I speak absolutely sincerely because yes, I love tuning my reality myself, and I use the methods I talk about everywhere. And I don't know a better method, even though I know practically all of them today, which are related to both fundamental esotericism, Hinduism, and Buddhism. Practically all of them. Because firstly, I'm graduating from Moscow State University, yes, and I'm not just graduating from MSU, I'm completing a postgraduate program. So yes, I had, how many, 8 years of purely humanities education, where religious studies, the history of religion was taught to us for years in all forms. Plus, at the same time, I was also interested in esotericism. Contact with the higher self is the purest, fastest method to do these things independently. It's specifically independently, and if with someone's help, then with the help of a psychotherapist.
I want to say from my side that the method of accessing the higher self is not only effective, but also the most gentle and soft. I saw this myself, having come into contact, by using this practice.
By the way, how is it going for you now with this?
Interestingly, I couldn't access it, but what you're talking about is a very familiar state to me. I know it from somewhere. So you describe it, and I understand that I have felt it. Sometimes I feel it in everyday life, but I haven't been able to access it intentionally yet. But again, I've only tried it twice.
Yes, you've only tried it twice because your group has just transitioned to this technique. You still have many months to move forward, so to speak, in this direction, yes.
Yes, but the method itself is very, very gentle and careful. Really, it's very cool.
Dear friends, I invite you all to my course with a personal vision, Return to the True Self. This course has been around for over 12 years. And recently we launched it in English with my complete personal vision in 6 modules, working with blocks, working with egregores, working with the ego, contacting the higher self. Answers to simple questions, answers to more complex questions, and then there's what we call the Great Journey. It's contact with space, contact with the planet, contact with God, contact with anything, at your request, through the higher self. Health, finances, relationships, purpose, past life. The course is available at any time. You can sign up for it using the link below this video. Come on over, I'll be waiting for you.